1 million youths to benefit from digital skills and grants, says federal government. Oil extends gains hovers at 4-month highs on OPEC Plus cuts. Plus Asia markets fall as investors look ahead to China inflation data. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Bakar, your guide. Well, it's good to have you join us. Let's begin by telling you, in line with the present administration's commitment to provide more digital jobs for young Nigerians, the federal government, through the Office of the Vice President, is set to launch a digital hub that will empower 1 million youths across the country with the digital and related skills. The center is to be known as FGN, a large digital and skill innovation hub, will open first in Lagos and Borno states, with Katsina, Cross River, Anambra, Oyo, Kano to follow afterwards. They will be run in partnership with Wemel Bank. The arrangement for the initiative was reached after a recent meeting between representatives of the bank and its Vice President Kashim Shettima in Abuja. A statement by the media office of the Vice President notes that the strategic objectives of the program is to include empowering youths, entrepreneurs by providing them tailored financial products, training and support to enable them build sustainable businesses that will support the growth of Nigeria's economy. Well, bank's commitment to supporting rural electrification in Nigeria has taken a significant step forward with its plan to build 1,000 mini-grid power plants across the country. This initiative is part of the Nigeria Electrification Project, which aims to bring electricity to remote and underserved areas. Negalco reports.
Previously overshadowed by darkness and plagued by lack of access to electricity, the petty community in Wali Area Council of the Federal Capital Territory had long yearned for respite. Now, through the World Bank-funded mini-grid power plant, a new dawn is breaking over the community, offering a future illuminated by clean and sustainable energy. Christian Chukube, a resident of Petty, has a provision store where he sells cold drinks from his freezer. Having access to electricity his size makes his store more profitable.
As much as this light came into this community, we can be able to close by 10, 11 o'clock.
Thank you for the person who bring this solar to us.
Pleased with the success of the mini-grid power plant project, President of the World Bank, AJ Banga, applauded the collaborative efforts between the federal government and the World Bank in bringing the project to fruition.
So, it's not just the money the bank puts in, it's the result of the money. And the result of the money is the life of the housekeeper, the lady here, of the pump operator, of the business person, of the kind of change it makes to people. I was saying inside, the most important thing is dignity for people. And dignity comes when you're independent.
The main economic activity in this area is production of melon. Prior to this time, they used to trek long distances to far-flung streams and rivers in order to get this water. But here you are, right in front of their houses. They could produce water and then use it to produce the melon.
The mini-grid power plant, which is an integral part of the World Bank's ongoing electrification project in Nigeria, aimed at expanding access to electricity in rural areas, is co-financed by the World Bank under Nigeria Electrification Project and implemented by the Nigeria Rural Electrification Agency.
According to the World Bank, Africa generates nearly 70 million tons of waste every year. As the income and spending power of the average African continues to rise, more goods will be consumed, leading to even more waste. The volume of waste generated on our continent is expected to double in the coming years as Africa's economy becomes more prosperous and the size and population of its cities explode. Now, to speak on how Nigerians can take the interesting business opportunities in the world of waste, otherwise known as zero concept of waste, and how we can turn this ignored and overlooked commodity into wealth, is a waste to wealth expert Abba Yahaya. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much.
Okay, this idea of concept of zero waste, why does it matter to the society?
Okay, thank you. I would say that it's everyone's business because waste, if not managed properly, can lead to different health issues amongst other problems that we have facing different nations. So I think it's high time that everybody puts all their hands on the plow, you know, to ensure that we're able to manage the waste problem because just like you rightly pointed out, as the population of Nigeria and Africa is on the rise, would definitely be having an increase in waste problem, and this has to be managed effectively.
Okay, well, you should tell us how does this thing work? I mean, waste to wealth. How does it work? What should we be on a watch out for, so that we can take advantage of it and turn it into, you know, wealth?
Okay, I always like to start with an understanding of what creativity is. For me, when I'm dealing with my students or whoever is participating in the project that we're running, I tell them that creativity is simply making the available the desirable. And what that simply means is being able to come up with something that is sustainable out of something that looks like waste or something that is actually waste. And you would agree with me that you know, the waste industry, especially in Nigeria, is an untapped industry. There's a lot of millions, billions, and trillions of dollars that people can actually tap into, you know, the whole waste business. For example, there are different chains of the waste business. There are those that are collectors. They are seen as collectors. They are the ones that retrieve the waste, and you can actually go to their organization or their setup to buy the specific kind of waste that you need, you know. And then when we're looking at the word recycling, it means being able to convert this waste into minimum viable products that can be reused.
You said specific type of waste you need. Give us a breakdown of
okay.
this.
Okay, let's look at plastics
so that we can have a picture of.
Let's look at plastics. Plastics are waste that is actually everywhere. There's no way you don't see plastic. Now you can actually melt plastic and repurpose it into different products. You can create what you call, in Hausa we call it buta. That's the plastic kettle, you know. And then for paper, you can actually convert paper into tissue toiletries that can be repurposed, that can be used again for other, you know, functions. The same thing with also the nylon bags. Right now we're on a project with the National Youth Service Corps. Is a scheme by the federal government, and we're teaching them how to convert waste into wealth. For example, we've been teaching them how they can use these nylons that they throw on the floor, the pure water bags that they throw on the floor. You can actually convert them into interlocking tiles, plastic interlocking tiles. Yes, you can actually do that with plastic. At the same time, you can also create carrier bags with plastics. So what we're telling the youths, what we're telling the people out there is, whatever you consider waste, it can actually be generated and repurposed into something that can generate additional funds for you.
But these things need a specialized knowledge. You just don't take any plastic and just turn it into what you think. I believe you can be on the part of, maybe, I think it's a value chain, if I may say. You collect it and you give it to, I think there are people that buy it and they sell it to those recycle plants. Well, it seems like it has enormous benefit, but why are we not taking advantage of this?
Okay, I would say that the reason why a lot of Nigerians are not yet taking advantage of it, and that is why we have decided to start with the youths, because these are the younger generation that are coming up, and if we can imbibe the right knowledge in them at that early stage, then they can begin to have a change in mindset, have a shift in mindset. The problem we're having now is they feel that there's this stigma attached to waste. Anytime you call waste, they just feel is associated with dirt, and nobody wants to get their hands dirty. Nobody wants to get their hands filthy. But, forgetting the underlying factor that there's still a whole lot of, profit to be made when it comes to the waste industry. And just like you rightfully said, yes, there are different chains. It's actually a chain, of businesses. There are those that collect. There are those that buy from those that collect. And there are also those that actually do the repurposing. And yes, of course, there are different knowledge base as regarding the waste industry. It all depends on which you want to start with. If you're starting with the heavy waste management skill set, then it requires you to actually, get into a program like one of the programs that we are actually into right now with the National Youth Service Corps organization, amongst others. Yeah, that's where we get to lecture you, train you, mentor you on.
I think you need to tell us more about. Just give us a picture of the program.
Okay, it's actually called I Conquer My World, and the program is basically teaching, mentoring, and training youths all around Nigeria, for starters, on the use of entrepreneurship and recycling skills to actually make more money, by the side. In as much as they would have their own jobs or side hustles that they are doing, we're actually going out there to let them know that there are other side hustles that they can tap into that does not affect their business at all. For example, the waste business that we're talking about right now is such lucrative and very, very flexible that you can actually be running your own industry, your own business, and at the same time, you're making money from waste.
Okay, well, then in terms of environmental impact, what advantage has it to the environment?
Well, I think the major environmental impact that it still has till date is when it's related to health, because we know the hazards that are behind waste disposal. And when you begin to get a whole lot of people involved in waste management, it's properly disposed, properly recycled, and properly disbursed. So this really helps to tackle health, which is one of our major concerns.
Okay, well, what about metal waste? Any advantage that one can really take from metal waste?
Oh yes, of course. There are lots of benefits from metal waste. Before I even go into metal waste, because of the current scenario that the country is facing in regards to the fuel, the rise in fuel, a lot of innovations are coming up right now where people are beginning to look for alternatives, and recycling is one part that is really, really in focus right now. I give you an example. A lot of people are learning now how to convert gas plants to generating power, whereas looking at or rather using fuel to power their gen. Now you can actually use gas to power your gen, and this gas is not necessarily the liquefied gas that we are aware of. There are other ways of getting gas, really. You can get gas from feces. You can also get gas actually from plastics. There are certain chemicals you actually involve, and when you do the whole process of melting and so on and so forth, you're able to get actual gas from plastics that can actually power generators. Yes, so this is one way that recycling helps. As regarding metal, yes, of course, you can actually, it's all about repurposing. You can actually melt the metal. You can actually melt it and have different molds that can give you different shapes of different furniture or interior design structures that can help when it comes to building or when it comes to design for homes or offices. So these are just some of the benefits you can get from metal.
Okay, I understand that Nigeria somehow failed to formalize its waste recycling sector and regenerates like around 32 million tons of waste, and probably it might likely go up because of the increase in population and things like that. So if we're to formalize our waste recycling sector, what advantage do you think we stand to gain?
Okay, first of all, we have to look at the population, and I think right now the countries that are having the most population are the ones that I would say the leading organizations and countries all around the world are eyeing, because when you see population, you actually look at human resource, you actually look at human capital. And that is very, very important for us, especially here in Nigeria. It will be a major turning point if we're able to get more Nigerians being involved in the waste management business, because that will mean that revenues will actually turn up, and we'll get to do more business with international organizations that will be requiring some of these waste materials to, also use to manufacture whatever it is that they are into. So it's actually a chain of businesses that has a lot of opportunities attached to it.
Okay, thank you very much, Abba Yahaya, waste to wealth expert. Thank you for sharing your thought with us.
Thank you very much.
Now moving on, the Federal Inland Revenue Service and the Joint Tax Board working towards harmonization of taxes for increased revenue generation and creation of a more friendly ease of doing business environment. Stakeholders believe that these measures will attract both domestic and foreign investment, as well as enhance economic growth.
Where do we need to be? We need to be at a point where the number of taxes at federal, state, and local government will be single digits. In other words, it will not exceed 9. Just imagine we can do that. We will really, really have solved a big problem.
The more of these taxes that we have, the less of the revenue we generate. So what do we want to do? We reduce those number of taxes, block leakages in the tax system, and raise more revenue for the 3 tiers of government.
For us to actually put our hands on the issue of practically bringing the harmonization to bear in the Nigeria tax system, so that we are able to make the tax environment friendly to all and sundry in Nigeria.
And now to currency, let's find out how much the Naira is exchanging for other currencies. The Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has signed the Civil Aviation Master Plan with the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO. The Director General of Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, Captain Musa Nuhu, and ICAO's Secretary General, Juan Carlos, signed the agreement during a visit by the DG of the authority to ICAO in Montreal, Canada. The master plan, when implemented, will further unlock opportunities in the Nigerian aviation industry. Still on aviation, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority says the country is not ready for the International Civil Aviation Organization security audit in November. Speaking to journalists, the Director General of the authority, Captain Musa Nuhu, said 6 weeks after safety audit is inadequate for Nigeria to prepare for ICAO's security audit after undergoing safety audits in August. He, however, called for a postponement, saying no country in the world can carry out audits in 6 weeks. Captain Nuhu also said it will check the activities of unapproved aviation fuel marketers involved in the supply of contaminated Jet A1 to unsuspecting airlines. He added that the authority has contacted the International Air Transport Association and no foreign airlines have complained about contaminated fuel to the association. Oil prices extended gains on Monday to touch their highest level since mid-April after top producers Saudi Arabia and Russia pledged to keep supplies down for another month to tighten global markets further and support prices. Brent crude futures rose 25 cents to $86.49 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude was at $82.05 a barrel, up 23 cents. Both contracts notched their sixth consecutive weekly gains last week, the longest winning streak since December 2021 to January 2022. Now let's take a trip to the global commodities market. Now for a summary of how stocks fared in Nigeria, here is Moplanda Kok.
Trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange closed last week on a positive note. The NGX All Share Index appreciated by 0.22% to close the week at 65,198 basis points. Market capitalization increased to 35.48 trillion naira. 2.5 billion shares worth 29.6 billion naira in 37,713 deals exchanged hands in the week by investors on the floor of the exchange. All other indices finished higher, with the exception of NGX Main Board, NGX CG, Banking, Afribank Value, Merry Growth, Merry Value, and Oil and Gas indices, which depreciated, while the NGX ASM Index closed flat. The financial services industry, measured by volume, led the activity chart in the week, with 1.9 billion shares valued at 16.5 billion naira traded in 17,689 deals. The conglomerates industry was next on the chart, while the third place was occupied by the oil and gas industry. Trading in the top three equities, ICO Insurance, FCMB Group, and Transnational Corporation of Nigeria accounted for 636.217 million shares worth 1.737 billion naira in 2,751 deals. A summary of price changes shows that 42 equities appreciated in price in the week, 52 equities depreciated in price, while 61 equities remained unchanged.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Stock Exchange on Monday began trading for the week in positive territory as the all-share index had 65,336.8 basis points, 334.3 million volumes of shares valued at 3.89 billion naira exchange hands in 6,940 deals, while market capitalization stood at 35.5 trillion naira. Asian markets fall as investors look ahead to China inflation data. Details of this and more with Ineka Oko.
Asia-Pacific markets largely fell this Monday as investors look ahead to China's inflation figures and trade balance later this week. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index declined marginally, just as mainland Chinese markets were also all in negative territory, with the Shanghai Composite losing 0.59% to finish at 3,268.83, while Japan's Nikkei 225 was up 0.19% and closed at 32,254.56, erasing earlier losses in the day. European stock markets were choppy in early trading as the last of earnings season results roll in and with two key inflation prints ahead. The DAX slipped 0.14%, UK FTSE also dipped 0.59%, while the French CAC ticked down 0.28%. U.S. stock futures pointed to a rebound from last week's sell-off as investors got ready for a week with more corporate earnings and key inflation readings. Futures connected to the Dow Jones Industrial Average added 0.06%, S&P 500 advanced around 0.3%, while Nasdaq 100 futures gained 0.53%. African stocks traded mixed in early trading, with both South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 and Tunisia's Stone Index declining marginally, while Namibia's overall index and Ghana's GSE Composite were in positive territory.
Thank you, Ndeka. Well, that's the much we can take. Business Express returns on Tuesday by 9:30 a.m. I'm Musa Abubakar. Enjoy the rest of your day.